So now it's turn of Joanne, Flores, and Nancy Proctor with stories of World Heritage Sites.
So I could go on for 30 minutes about the challenges with this app, but I'll have Nancy keep me honest and try to stick to the 10 minutes. This is the result of a collaboration that the Smithsonian has with UNESCO. 3 years ago, the Smithsonian and UNESCO entered into a memorandum of understanding in which we outlined several projects that we would develop together. One of them, which was the Folklife Festival that just happened on Endangered Languages program, so that was a great success. Another thing that was coming up was the 40th anniversary of the World Heritage Convention. So we wanted to do something in 2012. So one of the challenges that we encountered was time, because it needed to happen in the year of the anniversary, which was 2012. So we ended up launching a website and the app in September of last year. The challenge we had was budget and Palestine State joining UNESCO, which meant that the United States, per federal law, is not allowed to contribute any funds to UNESCO, and they were the major funder to UNESCO. So that greatly impacted the contribution that we were hoping to get from our partner. The app and the website were highlighting 10 World Heritage Sites around the world that were in keeping with the theme of the anniversary year, which was the impact that the convention itself has had on these sites and the local communities where these sites are located. They were cultural and natural heritage sites. We had them all over the world, in Africa, Asia, Europe, and the US. We chose the sites based on areas of intersection between what were World Heritage Sites and what kind of work, research, and or collections we had at the Smithsonian, because there are over 900 World Heritage Sites, but to find the ones that where we actually did work and or had collections related to the sites was a bit tricky. And we had the wonderful Lori Stepp do research and dig through the collections and try to get our curators to cooperate with content. And so again, another challenge. We had a very small team. It consisted of myself, who was a total newbie, had never done a mobile app before, had never done a website before, and Nancy, who then left and went on maternity leave.
Very selfish of me.
And Chris Ubik, who worked on the website, and Lori, who did the design and research, and Dan, who helped pitch it while Nancy was on leave. And our contractor for the mobile app, which was Halsey Burgund, who worked with the Smithsonian on 2 other apps. And we basically were able to do this app for $15,000 because we reused a lot of what had already been developed for sites and for American histories. So, so here you see here the options, and so I should go back. So you open up and you see that it's a project of the Smithsonian and UNESCO. You have 2 options. You can either listen to stories contributed about these World Heritage Sites, or you can contribute to and record your stories related to these 10 different World Heritage Sites. If you just hit listening, you have the option to choose what you want to hear, if you want to hear, but, and then they also have the option to visit the website from the app. You also have the option to get to the app from the website. So they were kind of feeding each other. We had to go through all the privacy agreements because we were recording feedback. Once you got to the app, you got a map of where the sites were located. You were able to click on the various pins and get a little more information about the site before you actually contributed. Oop. You got to describe yourself, so you either could be a local resident, other teacher, student, so we were able to capture a little bit about the user. We had prompt questions, so that hopefully that would start the dialogue and kind of make it a more enriched experience, and then you were actually able to record. So We have, our target audience was obviously visitors to these sites, people that were interested in World Heritage. As part of the website, we also developed some education resources, so we were hoping that teachers would be able to kind of do this in classroom exercise. It has not been very successful because one of the biggest challenges, as everyone knows, is marketing. We were hoping that UNESCO would heavily market this since they have the World Heritage sites. This particular app is not tied to any museum or any particular collection or any exhibition, so it's kind of just floating out there without a home. It's a bit of an orphan. And without UNESCO heavily marketing it and the sites themselves, we've had a lot of challenges. We are working on a new version, which looks a little bit, like I said, we spent $15,000 on the first version. It was very, well, no frills. It was pretty basic. For this version, we are going to be automating images from Flickr and the audio from Roundware itself, which is what Halsey uses. And so it'll have a much better looking interface and won't be so dependent on user content, although we're hoping that this will spark more people to download it and use it.
And in essence, I think we're kind of expanding the definition of user-generated content and pulling from existing social media feeds. So people who are interested in these sites and are posting photos or writing about these sites on Twitter or whatever, that content can also become part of the app. So this is kind of a way of dealing with the fact that chances are nobody's going to give us a major marketing budget, so this app will continue not to be known very well, and yet it can still benefit from the other established social media outlets that people are already using. Plus, we're now able to add video capture as well as audio capture to our crowdsourcing. So we wanted to kind of be image-led in this new design.
So, so this is the home screen that you'll be able to click on the different sites. There will be channels. Well, actually, so this is what the channel will look like. Right now, we only have what will be the placeholders are. One will be natural heritage sites, one will be cultural heritage sites, one will be like a curated feature site, and then we're hoping to have something contributed by UNESCO. Something that will be Smithsonian featured stuff. We'll also have, again, the map.
And actually, if we can just give it 1 second, I'll just point out, for those of you who are familiar with Roundware and are crowdsourcing through it, we've actually got 4 or 5 apps now that use it. Another new innovation, in addition to the ability to capture images now, is this channel concept. So that in the administrative back end, an administrator can select both user-contributed content and content provided by the app's author, that team, to create a channel of content that's kind of, tells a particular story or addresses a particular interest. So that's kind of a neat new feature that, again, we're trying to think about how do we put user-generated content in conversation with curated expert content in a way that kind of goes beyond the blog post format where you've got the, the authoritative content in the blog post and then thousands of comments below. We wanted to have a little bit more organic of a conversation happening.
So this is what it will look like. You'll be able to take a photo, which will take you straight to your camera and contribute that way, or you'll be able to record a story. Again, you'll be able to say if you're, from the area or just visiting. And again, we have prompt questions, and then you'll be able to record. With this version, we are basically, the first version was for Android and iOS. Right now, we're just doing iOS. And now I have to make the decision, and maybe you can provide some feedback on this, whether or not, and I should have stated that the first version is bilingual. It's in French and English because French is the official language of UNESCO, so therefore we had to do it in both languages. So the default language was English, but if your phone was set to French, it would open up in French. So one of the things we're trying to determine now, with the little bit of money we have left over, is to whether or not we make this into a bilingual app as well in the version 2 and have it French and English. And it's being built so that you'll be able to add multiple languages in the future. Or if we do a version that's for the iPad. Because of the images, I think that I'm leaning towards an iPad version just because they're really lovely. And they'll open up very nicely, and you could have a more full experience on an iPad in terms of the visual, maybe not the audio, but I'm on the fence and I could be swayed one way or the other.
We want to hear from you.
Another aspect of it is we're trying to figure out the captioning of the images, because we're going to be reusing and repurposing a lot of the images that we used on the website that feature Smithsonian collections and research, and trying to figure out a way to caption and credit all those images on a mobile device is very challenging. So that's where I am right now.
So we look forward to your feedback, and we'll let you know when it launches.
It's just to be determined.
We kind of, one of the luxuries that Joanne's given us in this project is not to have a specific deadline, so
Right.
we can work on it until we think we've got it right. Since the first one was so rushed, it's
Right.
really nice to have that bit of a breather.
Yeah, because November 2012 was when the treaty was signed. It needed to be up by November, so we didn't have a lot of leeway in terms of when we launched. But this time, I do want to take more time and get it right. And I like the fact that it's a two-way conversation with people, not only here but also around the world. Hopefully, we'll expand people's knowledge of the institution and the research we do in our collections.
Thank you.
All right.